we'll transition from, Mitsubishi was my, I've been in the industry 40 years. And my first purchase for outright business was Mitsubishi in 2020, and just before COVID, and did very well there. And then I had a partner,
Right.
and he was also a partner here. And what we decided to do was I sold him that store. I stayed here, kind of keep the peace.
All right, so let's do that. So we'll start with start at the Mitsubishi place. We'll go from there on.
No.
So tell us your story of starting the Mitsubishi dealership.
So it's an interesting story. I mean, like I said, I've been in the business a long time.
Right.
A friend of mine, his name is Jimmy. Jim was in that building for over 30 years. He built the building. At the time, he wasn't the owner. He was working for another gentleman who owns a couple of dealerships in New Jersey. And about 10 years later, he wound up buying the franchise from him and the property, everything. And
it's a Rawway, right?
The Rawway, yes. Yeah. And then what happened was he like me, he was in the business quite some time, and he was getting a little tired. He was doing the Florida run, and so we're good friends. And it's a smaller dealer in terms of both size and franchise purchasing aspect. So I knew I could make the deal work based on the economics, and so I kept teasing him, saying, "Come on, you got to retire, so I can get him motivated." And he did, right. And we wound up striking a deal that was a good deal for both of us. And interesting. So January 2020, I'm in the store. We're doing great, and we passed the baton, and everything's fine. And then March comes along, and it's COVID,
right?
And a hole breaks loose.
Right.
But it was interesting because I was doing construction to the store, and the interior of the store, I was redoing it, because when you have a franchise, you have something called CI, which is called compliance imaging, which means like when you go to Dunkin' Donuts, every Dunkin' Donuts has to look the same.
Every McDonald's has everything looks the same.
Yeah, so that's called CI, compliance imaging, in the franchise world. So I had to update the showroom both inside and outside. I said to them, let me do the outside later, but I can do the inside. And I was doing that during COVID and servicing cars, and I was able to survive. I don't know how I did it, but I did.
Mostly on service, I guess. The car service, right?
Yeah. And they were still buying cars here and there, because they were, somebody had a car that broke down or high mileage, etc.
Or a lease ran out.
Yep. So we were able to sell some cars, not to the volume that we wanted, but gave us the ability to finish the showroom fast. And what had happened was things started to relax a little bit, probably around June. And then I bought a lot of inventory, which everybody thought I was nuts. They said, "Joe, what are you doing? You're crazy." I said, "No." I said, listen, this is not going to last forever. It's impossible. If that's the case, we're all going to implode. So
right.
So it doesn't matter whether I'm a jeweler, I'm an architect, I'm an attorney. It doesn't matter if that's the case. So I have to roll the dice. And in fact, in that facility, I would say we probably sold 3 to 1. For every new car, we sold 3 used cars.
Oh, wow.
We were selling, just to give you an idea, we were selling about 40 to 50 new cars a month. We were selling about 100, 125 pre-owned cars a month. Quite a big difference, and all makes and models, like you said, from every brand, from Land Rover to Mercedes to Toyota to Honda, etc. Whatever we can get our hands on that was a good car, because I only wanted to sell good merchandise.
You go to auctions and stuff, like you go to auctions, buy the cars, see what you.
Yeah, we did buy some from auctions, but we were careful and selective, because the problem with the auction. So the auction world is an interesting world for dealers, because it's very expensive. People think you get great deals, you really don't. So yeah, they have a measuring system. Let's call it 1 to 5 when they show a car, and they tell you, "Oh, this car is a 4. It's got low miles, whatever." And then the car shows up, it's a 2. With with damage they never disclosed.
Really?
So there's a lot of argument. Then you got to send it back, pay for the fees for the shipping. It's not an easy. It's so much easier to draw people in and have the car there that you can physically look at, appraise the car properly, and then give the person a good value for the car, and it's a win-win for everybody. So that's we actually had a guy that was dedicated just for that. He went out canvass the world for consumers to come in and buy their
Interesting.
cars. So we did well in the store. It was a great opportunity. And then in 2000, actually end of 2020, I got a call from General Motors. They wanted this store that I'm in now, the Cadillac store. They were looking for a young, high-end operator. I've been in the exotic. I've managed for a very long time. I had a Ferrari store. I had a Bentley store.
Oh, really?
Maserati store. I had a McLaren store. I had a Lamborghini store. Aston Martin. I'm very well known in the exotic world because that's been most of my career, high-end Mercedes, Land Rover, etc. But so they were looking for somebody like me, kind of young, that's been there, done that, because Cadillac has come back very strong as a brand. And so they offered me the franchise, so I was able to get in here, and I opened up Trinity Cadillac in September of 2021, also through the height of COVID. And it wasn't easy because this particular location was closed down for 3 years.
Wow.
We're here, we're out of business for a while, and because of bankruptcy and all that, it took a while for them to get things cleared. But in the meantime, I was getting approved, I was getting my financing in line, and then I started spending more time here, and my partner started spending more time down there. And because he lives closer to there, I live closer to here.
Where's the dealership? The current one? Where's the Cadillac?
It's Englewood Cliffs. So I'm right next to the GW Bridge. Yeah.
Oh, nice area.
County. So
high-end area.
Yeah. Very expensive.
Yeah.
Very expensive. Yeah. Everything's a lot more money. It's I call it Park Avenue.
Everything more.
I call it Park Avenue because I used to joke. I said, down in Rahway, I would buy a Dunkin' Donuts cup of coffee for $1.98. Same cup of coffee up here is $3.10. I'm like, what?
Same cup of coffee.
But that's everything else, right? It's the multiples just keep going. So anyway, but so because of that, and this store needed a lot of lifting, we felt it was the best thing for me to sell the business to him. I bought him out, which was fine. So we're going in our 5th year here. So it's been an interesting run. Dynamics, just like any business, and it's a very hands-on business. You don't have to be here, but I come from the school that my family background is. My family's always owned restaurants, so everybody's involved. Everybody comes out, talks to the customer, make sure they're good. You want some more butter? How's the wine? Make sure everybody's okay. So that TLC, as I call it, is important. And to me, so I'm a hands-on operator. Ever since I've been in the business, I work 6 days a week. Coming from the restaurant business, 7 days a week. So when I got a day off, I was like, wow, this is great. I get a day off. So, and I'm always here. You can always find me at the store. Very rarely that I'm not here for either one of my kids' events, or maybe I'm sick by chance, or maybe on vacation once in a while. But the business grew fast, and it grew well because of the fact that same thing at Mitsubishi, where through COVID, that was not easy. And even here too, when we took over, it was not easy. We had to start from ground up. There was no customer list. So I had to create a strong advertising campaign, really take care of the first set of customers so that they can go out there and tell the world how great we are and all that good stuff. So that requires you being here, holding hands, kissing babies, and doing all the things that you need to do to make it successful. So because you can't, if you leave it on cruise control, it'll crash and burn.
No, definitely not. So, what kind of challenges do you face, like for inventory management, service turnarounds? Any challenges you run into, like currently? Like, what's the?
Believe it or not, one of the biggest challenges, and it's been this way now for about 4 years, has been financing. So, when you're in a business, you need capital loans. There's always, we have lots of heavy, expensive equipment that always needs repair or needs to be updated. And to me, the other stuff that you just mentioned to me are
like the service turnaround, the inventory management. Like, how you deal with all
those things. Those things, if you have discipline, you can control those things and you can be okay. But when banks are giving you a hard time because of the economic climate, so when I opened the Mitsubishi, banks were just giving money away.
Right.
They were just like, just sign here. Well, yeah, we'll give you
Anybody
another
gets a loan. Right.
yeah, no, SBA was knocking on the door every 3 seconds, et cetera. And that started to peel back fast. By 2000, by the end of 22, going to 23, it got very, very tough, very difficult. A complete turnaround. Banks completely, put their hands up in the air, and they started investing in other sectors. And so that movement really, and I speak not just for my business, because I have friends of mine who own different businesses, and under the same circumstances where they're looking for expansion, looking to grow. The key, you can't grow without the capital financing.
Right.
You're kind of stuck in the same position that you're in, which is not terrible, but the objective is to grow the business. And to me, the biggest challenge, hands down, has been for me, and I speak for a lot of guys that have other businesses, is the financial capability and assistance that has been there before, and now it's kind of like even by today's standards, it's still very, very difficult.
So not much for the customers, more for you for expansion, like you get
for both. Well, for both,
right,
because it trickles down, right? So I'm looking for a larger capital loan. For example, I'll give you a very good example. So Cadillac, just like a lot of manufacturers, decided to go electric.
I see them all over the place.
But part of that being that I'm a franchise, they call you up and say, Joe, we're going to send you a contract. You have to put X amount of chargers in your facility. Well, the average charger to install in the facility for an average, what we call a supercharger, which is a good charger.
Like 50 grand?
Yeah. That's starting. The unit is between 35 to 55,000 for the unit. The installation is usually anywhere from 20 to 30,000 per charger. You're easily 75, 80 grand easily per charger. And so if you've got to put 5, 6 of those in the beginning, I mean, you're talking I spent $500,000 at Cadillac just for chargers.
Right.
So, and that's money I have to come up with out of the air. So to me, I wanted to fund, it's equipment, right? So I wanted to be able to try to finance a portion, and I was able to get a small amount financed, but years ago, I probably could have got 80% done, no problem. And so as an example, there's one example for the business side.
Yeah.
And trickling it down to the consumer side. So our business, the automotive business, as well as like real estate, for example, is very, very interest rate sensitive. And through the Biden administration, through that administration, the rates were just unbelievably high. And so what was happening, customers were coming in, and then you had also lack of inventory, right? So you had less supply COVID. So you had that going. So you have a double whammy for the consumer. You've got less supply to offer them, and then you have a much higher interest rate. So the guy who was used to, paying $4.99 for a car says, "Hey, Joe, I always pay $4.99. That's my budget. I can go to $5.25, maybe $5.30. $5.30. I mean, he's lucky if I can get him at $8.30. So because of the jump of the cost of the vehicle.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's the numbers were it was unbelievable. So what's happened in the past 3 to 4 years, is a lot of people kept their cars. So there's a lot of people said, you know what, I only got 30, 40,000 miles on my car. I'm just going to keep it. I'm going to buy it out of my lease, or I'm going to refinance it, keep it for a longer time, and service the car, which is nothing wrong with that. And actually, a lot of the customers, I helped them, do that. I helped them refinance cars, got them extended warranties so that they're covered up to 100,000 miles, and this way they have a comfort zone to help them through the process. Because and this was no matter what brand you spoke to, whether it was us, Mercedes, or Land Rover, or Toyota, or Mitsubishi, there was no escape. There was no escape from the interest rates and the cost of the vehicles. So the consumer really, I mean, if you listen to any business news, as you know, in the past 3.5 years, everybody's been clamping down on the interest rate. And look at the real estate market, how difficult that is. My wife does real estate, so her inventory's down, her interest rates are up tremendously. Again, where 4 years ago she was flipping rentals and houses a lot quicker, now it's very stagnant. It has gotten a little bit better. Rates have come down a little bit, but they need to come down a little bit more to be able to help everybody across the board.
Makes sense. Now, do you have software to keep track of all the inventory and all the maintenance on the cars? Is it separate software or is it one
Yes, yeah. So there's
software?
there's a master system that all dealerships use, and it's called the acronym is DMS, which stands for Dealer Management Systems or Dealer Management Services. So you buy a system, and there's about 4 to 6 vendors that are like the guys to go to. You pick the one that you prefer for whatever reason that you may like one. Within that scope, they also have additional software that can do even further, enhancements, to either inventory or enhance a consumer who comes in and has a service experience. There's additional software that you can buy. So, for example, you can bring in your car, and
Right.
you say, listen, I think I got a leak in my car because I can smell the oil.
Right.
I hear something in the tire. No problem. Come in, Doug. Let's take we take the car, we write it up, give it to the technician. He takes a video, which is a 15 to 20-second video showing the leak and showing also the suspension damage, and then we can forward that to you and say, hey, Doug, here's what's going on. We found the leak, and here's the ball joint that is pretty much gone.
Oh, so that goes through the software, gets emailed to me or
Yep,
text.
gets emailed to you with an explanation of what it is
in the video.
How much it's going to cost to replace per item. So you have a
That's great.
cart, description, and it's fantastic. Customers love it because it's a show and tell.
Yeah, because you're not full of crap, right? You're not making things up.
Absolutely.
They always think you're making things up.
That's what I love about it. I love the fact that you can show the customer. If you're here, and sometimes we'll get the customer, we'll walk them to the car because
Yeah, I've done that.
But if you left and you're at work and my service advisor is calling you. So with software, these additional software items, it's fantastic. That's just a perfect example of a very good system that can be added to your DMS. So there's multiple versions. To your point, there's inventory management, which is part of the DMS, but then they have really further enhanced versions
that keep going.
It tells you could put a tracker in the car. It tells you exactly where it's at all times.
That video thing alone must close a lot more deals.
You know what it does? It helps to close the sale, but you hit the nail on the head just a few minutes ago when you said it's about the integrity, because we have, and it's funny because I'm going to talk about this in a different spinoff in a second, but the consumers, look at car guys and go, oh, it's like talking to a lawyer. It's like, this guy's, let me put my rings away. They watched
that Seinfeld episode with George in the dealership. You get car fixed at dealership.
Yeah, I've been successful because I've always been transparent. In fact, in my career, I've probably lost more. I've walked away from sales that I caused. I tell people, no, you're not ready for the car. I think it's too expensive for you. It's a wrong vehicle for you. Wow. And they look at me like I'm nuts. You're talking yourself out of a sale. I said, yeah,
but they come back and buy it from me though when they actually do get it.
Well, here's what happens. 2 months later, they come back and go, you know what, Joe, we loved you. You were sincere. Yeah. You were right. I shouldn't be buying a convertible when I got my wife pregnant. Blah blah blah. So and then I have established relationships. I'm selling cars now to grandchildren of people that I sold cars in the late '80s. I mean, it's crazy.
That's a great testimony alone. That testimony was great.
Yeah. So that kind of testament's important because you build the integrity with the customer, and that video, that's what it does. It helps to show the customer, look, we're busy. We're not trying to sell you, a ball joint or a gasket seal, but this is what's going on. Let us know if you you want it repaired, or if you only want one repaired, or whatever the case may be. So this way you could, it just shuts all that down, tremendously.
Oh, it's great, because as soon as you get the big number over the phone, they're thinking oh, that really that bad? Is he adding stuff on here? Everybody thinks that. Not at the dealership, any garage.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you see it real time, it's really not good.
It's like when you go to the doctor and he's showing you an X-ray. He's explaining, here's your wrist, and here's where you fell, and you see the laceration here, Joe. So you get a better understanding of what the doctor's saying, even though you're not a doctor, but he's showing you. Again, my famous line is show and tell, so that you can really, visualize what's going on. And to that point, I think you and I had talked about this. I'm actually developing a consumer podcast. And when I say a consumer podcast, it's going to be called The Honest Car Guy. And what I'm going to do there is I'm going to dedicate once a week, anywhere from half an hour to 45 minutes of just dialogue of everything that's related to automotive, from financing to what about my warranty? How do I deal with a manufacturer who's not paying attention to me? I got a problem with this dealer. I bought a car. What can I do? I bought the car at the time my credit was terrible. Can I refinance? And there's so much out there that people need guidance. They would never come to a dealership unless they have a relative or somebody that they know that they might talk to. But the trust aspect is not there. So what I want to do is I want to put this out there publicly, and my friend of mine, he's a car dealer, and he says, well, a lot of guys are going to be upset with you. So why would they be upset? Why would the dealer body be upset for a guy who's actually promoting the proper aspect of the business as opposed to being looked on like you're a bad guy?
Yeah, you're not giving away anything like secrets, right?
There's no secrets. It's helping people to guide them. Here's what happens when you do that, as I've done in my career with many stores that I've managed or owned, is that when you do that for people, again, you create the trust. And so when they say to you, Joe, what should I do? Should I buy the warranty because I think I'm going to keep the car I'm going to give it to my kid when he goes to college. Oh, you got to get a warranty because this is expensive car, electronics, and then you get into the conversation, right? And then you give them a couple options, and they're going to buy the warranty because you told them you did everything properly, as opposed to doing it the flip side, right?
Just pushing the one warranty, the biggest one, instead of giving the options, right?
Or buy the wrong one. That's part of the problem. 50% of the purchases are wrong purchases. Either it's the wrong car or the wrong items. So unless you have a person like me, again, like a doctor, right? You go to the doctor and say, hey doc, I'm taking vitamin D. And he says, oh, you don't need vitamin D. Your body is super sufficient. You need vitamin D.
Too much of that already.
Right? So he's the guy who's telling you what to do and how to do it. And so I looked at it that way. I said, what? And so a couple of other friends of mine said, George, you're going to be so busy, you better hire somebody to pick up the phone because they're going to be emailing you. And I said, that's okay, because that's what it's all about. It's going to grow very fast.
I think so. So how do you do marketing now for the dealership? What's your digital marketing? You do what kind of marketing do you do?
The bulk of the marketing is digital. There's I actually, when I had Mitsubishi, I did a lot of TV advertising, and I have a big Hispanic market there, land market. So I hired two actors, a girl and a guy, and we would do the commercials. About our advertising agency had a studio. We would produce the commercials and put them on prime time, 6:00 news and the novellas, at 8:00 at night, and and we got tremendous. It was expensive, but we got tremendous foot traffic from it. So that certain brands and certain times of year, that certainly helps. It's still viable. And then the digital world, Instagram, obviously, Facebook. I mean, we post every day, information, a new color, a new option, new this, just to keep the consumer and people aware that there's different things going on. So it's a way of the world with any brand, right? I mean, you have to be. So I would say 80% of the traffic is done through digital, and then 20% gets cut up in some local magazines, and we I don't have it now, but I had a billboard. I rotate that because
billboards are big.
Yeah. So people know that know your location and things like that. So, but digital rules right now. I mean, it's just, especially with the younger generation, a phone is like their third lung. I mean,
I can see it. It's a product you actually use on the Facebook. If you saw it, you click on it. Some products aren't like good for like digital marketing, like Facebook and Instagram, but some tend to work for that. Like you said, younger people that are looking for cars, that'd be the way. Click on that.
Absolutely,
sure. And I guess you do like geofencing too, like people who drive by, they get the answer.
Yeah. So because we're a franchise, we have a certain territory that we're responsible for. So we concentrate primarily on that territory for new cars. Used cars, I can go out through Hawaii. It's not a problem. So we do have two different marketing strategies for both new and used.
So new,
Um,
you can't put like billboards that only in your territory.
yeah, right. So if I wanted to put a billboard on Long Island, the
Not so
Cadillac's going
much.
to call up and say, Joe, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be doing that.
No.
The guy's screaming at me over there. So, but within my region, even if I get to the border, they're okay with that.
Yeah.
Pre-owned it's hands off. I mean, I can,
Wild West.
I advertise a lot in Florida. Like
Oh,
I
really?
do a lot of Florida business. I do a lot of business in Virginia. I mean, I get people from Texas because if you have a car that they're looking for and it's that particular model, color, combination, mileage, that customer is going to find the car. They're going to travel out of their district to purchase that vehicle. So the marketing has to be diced up a little differently depending on what you're looking to do.
Exactly. And if you could automate any of this, was anything in your daily life or in the business you want to automate or make things easier, or anything that you have problems with currently?
Our business is hard. It's hard to automate. If we can automate, we can automate the incoming calls, the incoming emails.
Right.
So communication aspects, I think you can automate further and better, but to a certain degree, because we have a touch and feel product. We really do.
Right.
I mean, so right. There's very few people who wake up and go, you know what, I'm going to buy an orange convertible today, and just buy an orange convertible. It doesn't happen that way. Usually they're thinking already in their head, the color, the options, more or less what they're looking for, give or take. And then they want to come in and see that new model, like you said, the new electric. Where's the lyric? I've been hearing a lot about this car. Oh, here it is. Let me show. Mom said, Jones, you have a few minutes. Let me go over the features with you. Blah blah blah. You show him the car, open the door. He smells the leather. Oh wow, where's the engine? Oh, there is no engine. It's electric. And so having, then you got to think about electric, right? You got to educate most customers.
Oh yeah.
On charging. How is it different than a combustible car? I mean, there's
the maintenance, what you got to do with it, all that stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about and to work with people. That is very. I mean, could you do it? Listen? You could be like Tesla. Like Tesla buyers is a different. It's a different. Because that person is a digital monger who doesn't care. They know the car comes only in 3 colors or 4 colors, 3 or 4 colors.
And they got that one store in the Premise Mall by you guys. They have that one store, a few stores once in a while to look at, but it's not like
when you walk in, but the salesperson is really not a salesperson. When he sends you to the computer and says, "Yeah, you can go to the kiosk and you can build your car."
And I walked in there, asked a couple questions. They don't know much at all. They're just there to like.
He's just there to make sure nobody steals the car. I mean, pretty much.
I went to the one brand in the Garden State Plaza a couple times by you guys, and it really there's not much. They don't do much.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it at home. You could order the car at the house. I mean, so that's a different buyer, a different sensation.
Yeah.
But a lot of those people are actually coming back to other brands because the level of service is not there, and that also what you experience in the sales side also transposes into the service side. So when you go to service, it's brutal. I mean, to get a hold of somebody, to make an appointment. My manager his wife has a Tesla. To give you an example, brand new Tesla. It's a year old, and she was parked here in Fort Lee, and somebody hit her driver's mirror. The little cover of your little outside mirror.
Yeah.
So they cracked it, so he needs a cover. Okay, not a big thing. We could do it in the shop here as long as he gets us the cover. So his name is Rich. I said, Rich, why don't you? So he calls, stops by Route 17 he's looking for the parts department. We don't have a parts department. He says, what do you mean? He says, oh no, you have to call our body shop in Brooklyn, which is the authorized body shop, and you can buy the parts through there if you want the parts. We have nothing to do with it.
What?
I said, Rich, are you kidding me? He says, no. So I did some investigation and some homework, and turns out that's exactly what happened. So imagine that you come in, you have a problem with your vehicle, and it takes forever to service your car because of the nonsense. So a lot of people have had their taste, had their run.
I see.
And now they're back to touch and feel people where they can pick up the phone and say, "Where's Joe? I need to talk to Joe." Or let me get Doug on service.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
And so it works for a while. It's gimmicky, but it's I don't see. Look,
A
Elon's very
long-term
look. He's very smart. He's making money with so much
smart
other
guy.
things, so that if he loses sales, it's not going to hurt him. So
Right. So where do you see the dealership the next 12 months, 3 years? What's the plan? What's the
um,
forecast?
I'm probably going to sell because, like I said, I've been doing it 40 years. I want to really do a few other things. I want to do some consulting, because of, I have a vast knowledge and my experience. People call me all the time, and there's a lot of guys that do need help. Um, I call it the fishbowl. I've been in the fishbowl for 40 years, 6 days a week, and it's a little mentally tiring. And now that
Right.
I feel like a philosopher. I got to get the stuff out of here. Got to get it out there, So,
Right.
between the podcast and
Podcast.
and I'm doing another podcast which is actually for dealers called Dealer Confidential, which is public, and that podcast is mostly advice for dealers who.
So you're going to do both yourself, or you're going to join the
Yeah,
other one?
yeah. Well, my friend started the one Dealer Confidential, and I just joined him as part of the team. We're doing it once a week, and a lot of subject matter to cover there too. So, and we're already getting calls from people saying, "Hey, Joe, that's fantastic! Wow, that's a great show, great information." So that all that stuff is going to take a lot of time. So I think that I see myself in the next 6 months probably moving on and still getting involved with retail, because I still talk to and send people to a Mercedes store, or to a Honda store, or to a Chrysler store, because they need X, Y car, whatever. So I'm not going to step away 100% from the retail side, but I'll do it more in my leisure and more of referring people and things of that nature, as opposed to sitting in the chair and kind of
All right.
watching, like I'm like the guy in Houston. Houston, we have a problem, and I got all the screens. There it is. I know exactly what's going on. And I got to go fix it.
So build the podcast is probably the next 6 months, your own podcast. That's the one you want to build, right? That's the goal that you want to
and I think
see happen.
And I think based upon the fact that it's a consumer-based podcast as opposed to business to business, I think the numbers are going to move quite rapidly, and word's going to get out there, which is fine. And then I'll build the staff. I'll build it as I build. But the objective is to keep people, just like this Tesla story I just gave you as an example. Most people don't know that. What do you know? There's people who have Teslas that don't know that themselves, because they put a car in their driving, hoping that they don't have an issue. But if they do, they should know about it. And there's some brands that are better in some things than others. People have questions about all-wheel drive. What's the difference between four-wheel drive and all-wheel drive? Why is this one better than that one? Should I buy a lifted truck? Do I need a lifted truck? And on. And I mean, the questions are just endless. So I can probably write out subject matter for the next 3 years, probably talking about different subjects and different shows that people can always plug into if they want to know about a particular subject matter. So,
Right. Now, would it make sense? Like, so if you saw the podcast, would some kind of like database? Would you want to make something like that, where you own the database and people can go on there and kind of like get real time answers to questions?
The one thing I actually am thinking about, which I'm working on too, is along with the podcast, is to give dealers a certification of the honest car guy. So think about it, right? So you go to a Michelin restaurant. The reason you want to go to a Michelin restaurant is because there's a guy who ate there, who travels the world, and he said, listen, the service here and the food is just outrageous. Yeah, and you really got to, and you got to try it. You got to go to Leo's Steakhouse. And so why can't I take that and start a dealer community of? And I know a lot of good guys. I also know a lot of bad guys. I hate to say it.
Any business, you got to get
right?
used to
it's the world. It's the world we live in. I call it a coin. It's heads or tails, right? Yeah. And so why not give the heads a lot of help, because they deserve it. They put the effort in. They're putting the effort in.
Yeah, kind of like an A rating for your cleanliness. Any certification, I think it's a great idea. Any certification would be great. Like, it's better than nothing. It helps people prove. Look, I did go through this course.
It's going to improve sales. It's going to improve traffic. Yeah. I already have a bunch of friends that I can start, that are good dealers, good people that do business the right way. That I would start off, right off the bat, naming them as an example, not that I want people to just go buy cars there, but that's not the objective. But the objective is to show as an example, hey, I got Larry here at the Toyota store. His store is amazing. Let me tell you why. And give some commentary on there.
That's
and also,
idea.
Larry's calling me, Joe, our traffic's up tremendously. Podcast.
You should make it more like, not like the Better Business Bureau, because I think they turned into like a kind of like a scam almost. You pay them for
it's very Gestapo-ish, you know.
yeah. You pay us so you don't get the rating. I don't. That's
it's a shakedown. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Just basically just like ripping. Like,
so what I'll do is with time, the guys that I do recommend, what I will ask them for a small sponsorship, to help me obviously with the podcast, which I'm sure most of them will do with no problem. Right. So do it that way. Say, look, guys, sponsor me.
That's a good idea.
Let me put you in my, because there'll be a drop down list of, you're looking for a Honda. Oh yeah, you go to Open Road Honda. You're looking for a Land Rover. Oh, yeah, a Prestige Land Rover in France. Hypothetically, so you'll have.
Would you do the same thing like the Better Business Bureau, where they would actually give feedback from people?
I would love, yeah. And that'll be, to your point about the DMS that we talked about. Yeah. That would be the next step, where AI can also help with that. You create a module so that you have people coming back to you and giving you feedback. Say, Joe, you were right. That Larry's Toyota was just amazing.
And then as it gets bigger, if Larry starts to turn heel, you give either award into Larry, say you're gonna come off our recommendation list.
Yeah, I mean, if the opposite happens, right? All of a sudden people are going to Larry's and they're having a bad experience.
It starts going south. Larry's is going bad.
To talk about Larry's Toyota again, because he didn't make the cut. So
yeah, then you get like the AI could be active, like a database where you can look at Larry's place. As long as he's still there, right. He's still part of the organization. He's part of the circle. Yep. The circle of trust.
Right, exactly.
Those circle of trust.
And I have connections nationwide. I many dealers that I know. California, Texas, Arizona, Florida, Louisiana, Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois. I mean, New England. I mean, so I have so many, and in today's world too, a lot of people buy cars out of state because, like I said, especially if it's a pre-owned. Like I said, if it's something that somebody wants, and the guy says, "Hey, Joe, there's a guy, well, let me check him out. Let me do some due diligence and see, and I can give a recommendation or not a recommendation, right, depending on what we find out.
I know guys go down to Florida to try to sell their motorcycles, right, from Jersey to northeast. They go down there to try to sell their low mile motorcycles.
Yeah,
in Florida, because Florida they drive all year long.
All year long, yeah, down the south, yeah.
There's not so much, so you can get a couple same year motorcycle, like half the miles from Jersey, right? And you go down there and sell make some money on it.
Absolutely, that creates different possibilities. So to me, this thing has a lot of legs, has a lot of different tentacles that we can work with, and it's going to take time to build, and that's why I want to dedicate it, because I'm ready for it, and I think I can bring a lot to the table for people.
No, I think it's a great idea. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, and so I did, and it takes. It's not something that let's say Microsoft decided that we're going to do certification at dealerships. Well, Microsoft can have a gazillion $billion, but they haven't done this. They don't understand this, so they would fail miserably at it, very quickly.
Who's getting certified? Who's not getting certified?
Now if Microsoft was going to do that for laptops, because that's
right.
So as an example, so because a friend of mine said to me, "Well, Joe, aren't you worried somebody else is going to steal your ideas?" Think about it. I said, you got to be a guy like me or like you that been doing this for a long time, has all the connections, has all the relationships with manufacturers, because I have tons of relationships with different manufacturers and banks and the whole gamma. So that when you talk about it, you're talking about it with some presence that you've been there, done that, not just once, many, many times over through the years. And the great thing with the experience is also not just the overall experience, but the fact that you've seen the change. Some stuff has not changed; it's exactly the same, and other things have changed dramatically. Technology is getting better. The electric cars are different now.
They last longer too. The cars, right? The old days, they didn't last as long. They seem to get
right.
Yeah.
So now you have, and depending on, depending what your needs are, what you're looking to buy, et cetera. So all those things those are all variables. Consumers who've been around like myself for a long time, and I bought cars in the '80s and the '90s, and
Right.
early, and 2000s. But those times were different because also there's more manufacturers now. There's more competition.
That's true too.
When I
Yeah.
started in the business, you had 3 big American brands. You had 5 Japanese brands, and you didn't have the Koreans. The Koreans came in 1987, and it was the first one was really Hyundai, and they struggled for a long time.
Yeah.
So now they're a powerhouse. Them and Kia are a powerhouse.
They came a long way because Hyundai used to be the crappy brand.
Oh yeah, and so they flipped that now, and where they're very, very strong, and stronger than some of the Japanese cars. So
my landlord actually has one of those high-end Hyundais, the ones to compete with like the Mercedes.
The Palace.
With all the bells and whistles, he's like, it has more bells and whistles.
So those are the dynamic changes that have happened from yesteryear to here, that are also interesting and important. Again, the consumer needs to be led based upon what their needs are, giving them the proper information, and where can we send you that you can attain what you're looking for. That there is an option for you, because a lot of times they feel like there's no option for them. Oh, my credit's terrible. Well, I don't have enough money down, or I crashed my car. I don't know if it's really worth any money. On and on. So
right.
So they're beating themselves up before you even start the process. So it's being able to give people guidance and hope. That there's other opportunities that we can do here. We can do other. I've considered this. Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, well, you can do that. So to me, it's invaluable.
No,
and at this time, with again spending all this time in my career, it's my way of giving back also.
Yeah, it feels good too.
It's very fulfilling. It's very fulfilling to be able to help people and give back, no strings attached type of thing too. And I think that's the key. There's no strings attached. So I think that's why it's going to grow exponentially fast, because people are going to say, hey, this guy, he's doing it because
you're not getting out of it. You're not making money from the actual sale of whatever you're recommending. So there's no commission on your end.
The money comes afterwards. The money will come with time, with other considerations.
So Larry's not paying directly because you sold his cars.
Correct.
That's not part of the deal, right?
So I think it's going to be terrific.
No, I think it's going to be great.
Like I said, it just gives me more time to do things. I'm a workaholic, so I'm still going to work hard and thorough, but I just can move the pace at just a little different pace and spread my time out a little differently. Being here 6 days a week, and I don't have to show up at 8 o'clock in the morning, but I'm like, I want to talk to service customers. Hey, Mr. Jones, I haven't seen you. How are you? So it's slowing that part of it down. I'm not 25 anymore, so I I feel great. I'm in good shape. Thank God for my age, but there's days where you feel it.
Yeah, I bet, yeah.
And I really appreciate you guys reaching out to.
No, thanks for coming on. This is great. So
absolutely, it's a great to meet you, Doug. Thank you for the opportunity.
I appreciate it.
If you need anything automotive, you know who to go to. I can help you out any way.
I appreciate it. I really appreciate it.
All right, brother. Have a great holiday weekend.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon.